investigation. Joining me now is Republican Congressman Tom Cole of the state of Oklahoma. Congressman, first, do you believe Jeff Sessions should recuse himself from any sort of investigation?
Oh, I think it would probably be wise, given the controversy here. But again, I find it a little bit premature to talk about an investigation, at least one that would involve any kind of criminal activity. It's certainly worth looking at what the Russians are doing anytime, any place. But I just find it, count me as skeptical that Jeff Sessions either was manipulated by the Russians, let alone colluded with them in any way.
But transparency is what the American people don't have. Mike Flynn has already been forced to resign. We know that the Russians tried to interfere with the election. Why not have a very clear investigation? And given Jeff Sessions had one, maybe two meetings or contact with the Russian ambassador, why not clear the deck, recuse himself?
Well, my personal view is there's a lot of hysteria and a bit of hypocrisy going on in this whole thing. Look, the President of the United States, President Obama, actually directly interfered in the British election by going over to Britain and telling them they were going to be at the back of the line if they passed Brexit. I don't think it had any impact. I don't think President Obama was doing anything sinister. And I think in this case, it's just hard for me to believe the Russians had the ability to impact a presidential election in a meaningful way. Now, did they try? Yeah, I think they did. And I think countries do that where the United States is concerned all the time. And frankly, I think we try to impact decisions in other countries. So I just don't see anything unusual here. In terms of Senator Sessions, or now Attorney General Sessions, look, I know him. He's an honorable and good man. And again, I don't think he was manipulated by anybody, and I don't think he colluded with anybody. But if folks want to ask questions, fair enough. They're allowed to do that. And I'm sure the senator will answer forthrightly.
Why is it hypocritical for Democrats to ask Jeff Sessions to recuse himself when Loretta Lynch had to recuse herself from just a 15-minute meeting with the husband of the candidate?
Well, first of all, I didn't say it was hypocritical for them to ask questions. I thought it's hypocritical for the United States to get hysterical about people trying to influence elections when we try to influence those elections. And President Obama did that quite directly in the case of Brexit. And again, I don't have any problem with that, but I don't see the questions as hypocritical.
Do you believe President Obama's interference is the same or equates with what Russia did in terms of the hacking? So what do you mean?
Well, first of all, I think all countries try to influence elections. It's not new. The first incident in American history in the 1790s when the French tried to influence American elections. It didn't work very well. It usually doesn't. As a matter of fact, I don't know of any instance where it ever has. So, again, I think a lot of this stuff, again, it's always worth looking at what the Russians are doing. I'm always pretty skeptical about them. But do I think that they had any kind of meaningful impact in last year's election? No, I just don't.
Do you believe that it's unusual that Attorney General Sessions met with the Russian ambassador? The 26 people who the Washington Post spoke to who are also on the Armed Services Committee, no one else met with the Russian ambassador. Claire McCaskill, who is a Democrat, said she's been on armed services for 10 years. She said that group, they just don't meet with foreign ambassadors.
Well, actually, they do meet with foreign ambassadors. I meet with foreign ambassadors. I sit on defense appropriations. I used to sit on the State and Foreign Operations Committee. It's pretty normal. And now, I can't testify to what other people do, but I see members interacting with foreign ambassadors on a pretty regular basis. Both countries that are friendly to the United States and countries that, frankly, are like Russia, that we have a more adversarial relationship with. So I don't find that as unusual in any way, shape, or form.
I know you can't put yourself in the mind of Jeff Sessions, but you do know him well. Given, as you put it, there's hysteria around the Russian involvement, why is it, do you believe, when he was asked under oath if he met with any Russians, why do you believe he said no?
I think he probably thought that the question was in the context of a political campaign. You have discussions with him about the campaign. Now, he probably should have been a lot clearer, although, again, I cut somebody slack that's there testifying hours on end when they make a verbal slip-up. But, again, I've just seen no evidence that there's any reason to think that Senator Sessions, cooperated in some way with the Russians, that he was manipulated in some way by them. And it's pretty normal, to be meeting with ambassadors. I have that pretty routinely in my office. They call and ask for appointments, or you see him at social functions. So I just don't, again, to me, this is not much evidence that the elections were impacted in any meaningful way by, Russia.
All right, but you do agree with Kevin McCarthy, with Jason Chaffetz, that he should probably recuse himself?
Sure, if there's a legal investigation, absolutely. No question about that. Although, at this point, I have to say I don't see much grounds for an investigation, particularly if it's something that involves criminal intent. But, look, he's associated with the president. He's associated with the administration. If there is an investigation, probably shouldn't be involved in it.
All right, Congressman, thanks so much.